Now to the ongoing fight to bring Israeli hostages held by Hamas back home. Members of the outgoing administration and the incoming Trump administration joining negotiators at the same table. The president-elect sending his Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu Saturday, his visit coinciding with an ongoing push by the Biden administration to secure a ceasefire deal and free the hostages. Following Saturday's meeting, Prime Minister Netanyahu dispatching a high-level delegation, including the head of Israel's Mossad agency, to Qatar in order to advance those U.S.-led talks. President Trump has promised that there would be hell to pay if the remaining hostages were not returned by the time he gets back in the White House. Joining us right now, Major General William Enyart. Good to see you. Happy New Year to you. I know we have a lot to talk about, and so I want to get straight into this. We're hoping you have some insight. This is a tense time in the Middle East, potentially also a tense time for these two administrations, but everyone's at the table with this unified goal. Do you know if the incoming administration has to kind of take a seat back, even though they're at the table, and wait until January 20th while allowing Biden's negotiators to take the lead here?
Well, certainly traditionally, the policy is and the law is that we only have one president at a time. But Mr. Trump has certainly not paid much attention to that since the election, and has certainly taken a very active role in foreign policy.
Hamas officials have actually said, in terms of these hostages, that they have no idea how many are still alive. And we know that it is a Hamas tactic to take these hostages, and they're, stored in different caves. Some of them were hidden in the back rooms of people's actual personal residences, others found beneath hospitals. But there's also a lot of psychological warfare at play here. So we don't know what Hamas knows or doesn't know. But we do know that with Israel, per Jewish custom, they want these bodies back, dead or alive. However, without living hostages, Hamas is essentially showing their cards, and Israel has no choice but to withhold military force. So might we see the opposite of a ceasefire here?
Well, I certainly can understand why Hamas could be saying that they simply don't know. When you look at the devastation that the Israelis have inflicted on Hamas and indeed on the civilian infrastructure, all the infrastructure in Gaza, it certainly stands to reason that Hamas doesn't have communication with a lot of their units. And as you may recall, when the Israelis have done a great job in terms of getting intelligence from cell phones, and then of course there was the episode where they detonated all of the
pagers.
Thank you. And that's such old technology, I can't remember what it's called now. But yeah, the pagers. So I think that clearly Hamas is probably having some difficulty communicating, and that may be honest.
On the campaign trail, as I mentioned earlier, President-elect Trump still threatening that hell to pay if they don't, Hamas does not release those hostages. Do you think he means actually putting American boots on the ground fighting against Hamas?
Well, I think that would be very unlikely. The last thing any administration, and certainly the last thing the American people want, are American boots on the ground in the Middle East. We've been through that, and we've been through it for the last 20 plus years, and I don't think anybody wants to see that happen again. President-elect Trump bragged about not getting into any wars. I don't think he's going to want to lose the ability to make that statement by putting American boots on the ground in the Middle East.
Well, we'll see what he exactly means. Day one of his presidency, no doubt, because this is top of mind for a lot of hurting families and, of course, for Israel. Major General William Enyart, thank you so much.
Pleasure to be with you.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.